Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier and this is the Piracy Show. Today taking the place of ship updates because we're going to hold on to ship updates until Monday after we've seen the CitizenCon presentation, because I don't really think at this point when I'm recording this I haven't seen any further updates, and I don't think they're going to give anything away right before the presentation. So we're just going to hold off and we're going to just kind of flip these two shows around and then we'll return to normal after that. So with today's Piracy Show, we are going to deal with the ship that's on everybody's mind right now, the Polaris. $750 LTI, not a limited stock sale, so this is obviously going to be a popular item. What can we expect from this ship? Is it a good investment? $750 is a lot of money. So we're going to kind of tackle this subject a little bit. But before we do any of that, we kind of got to know what we're talking about at least. So I think before we get into the theory crafting and the asking of questions and all of that, I think we really need to find out from the man himself what this ship is going to be like.
Next question comes from Narc Oman, who asks, since Corvettes fill a role between capital and subcapital ships, should we expect the up-and-coming ship or other Corvettes to be more versatile or more economical? So you definitely should expect them to be more economical. I don't know about whether it's more versatile because, to be honest with you, the Idris is, for the money, it's packs a punch. I mean, it's like a mini carrier, plus it can go toe-to-toe with other capital ships. Has massive living quarters and everything like that. But we're sort of planning that the proper Corvette window will be maybe about 100 meters or so, and it'll be more focused on let's put it this way: it's not going to be a massive carrier. I mean, obviously you'll be able to dock a ship and do all the rest of the stuff, and it certainly can hold its own fighting some fighters and bigger ships. And quite a few of them would probably cause a problem for a bigger ship like a frigate or a destroyer and all the rest of stuff. But it should be also easier to control and command because the Idris is just huge. I mean, I think you've seen some of the stuff we've shown for it, and it's just massive. And it's really probably not going to be a viable ship for one person to, or even one person and a few of his friends to sort of command. I think the Idris is sort of going to require quite a few players to sort of man it in unison, which I think would be really satisfying once all that happens, and definitely some NPCs helping you out. And so the Corvette I think will be just more manageable.
Now that we got that information, we can start to ask some questions. But some of the really important questions like armaments, what ships can it beat, what ships can it beat, how far can it go, what are how much is it going to cost to maintain it? These are things that we just don't know, and some of these things we are not going to know for a while. And it is really kind of important. These things are very important, but there's larger questions I think that every player has to face before they simply drop money on a ship, especially this much money. So we're going to kind of ask some of the bigger, kind of honest questions. So first off, $750. Is a bunch of pixels worth $750? Well, yes and no. It depends on the person. Now, if you really see yourself playing Star Citizen for hours upon hours upon hours, days, weeks, months, years, a ship like this could possibly be a very good investment. Now, if you had simply bought an Aurora package, but this ship was your goal. This ship was your end goal. Different people have different goals, but let's say this ship is yours. Now, if you can skip ahead the entire grind to get to this ship, to all the ships that you would have to go through to then get to this Corvette, to outfit it, to get it put together, insure it, fuel it, get it ready, and get it out there and actually be able to fly it, you don't know how much time that's going to take. But honestly, it would probably take a while. It probably wouldn't be like a weekend grind. It would, it would probably represent a pretty significant chunk of time. So honestly, you're not so much talking about a ship as you're talking about the game itself and what you hope to achieve in the game and what your time is worth to you. So that's one of the first things that I think you have to ask. Now, you might say, oh, hell yeah, I just want to skip to the end of the grind. I just want my ship. Shit, yeah. But there really is something to be said for the grind. Honestly, there is. And, you know, even these days, you know, I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft. Sometimes I think about it and I kind of miss the old days when grinding wasn't so easy and, you know, you had more time to explore the world and kind of get it, you know, get some of the lore. And, you know, by skipping to the end of the line, if this is the end of your line, as you see it in Star Citizen, you might rob yourself of some fun experiences. But then again, to get into the ship right away and to get into the really good stuff, the end game, so to speak, I mean, that has a certain allure too. So that's one of the first questions that you really have to ask. I mean, is $750 worth your time? And is skipping all that time maybe not something that you really would want to do? Now, next up, and one of the real reasons I used that clip there of Chris Roberts talking, because he also talked about the Idris. You're saying is realistically it's going to take more than a few people to fly an Idris, and possibly some NPCs as well. So you really have to ask yourself, you know, are you always going to have people available to fly the ship with you? And not only just to fly the ship, but possibly to fly as escorts as well. Now, we don't really know the final shape of the Star Citizen universe and how things are going to work out. Maybe you can fly around in this solo and it's not that big a deal, but probably not. You know, you might need some support ships to go along with you. And I mean, even if you're out in this thing and you're doing missions and you're, say, blowing up Van Duel ships and you're making some really serious coin because, you know, you have this ship which kind of might give you access to higher difficulty missions, higher payout missions. Maybe it works out that way, but, you know, maybe you want to bring some fighters too, just to clear out any bombers that might come after you. Who knows if bombers are a real significant threat to this ship? Possibly, but we'll have to wait and see. Also, you might want to bring other ships along. Like, let's say if you're blowing up ships, then it'd probably be handy to have a reclaimer following around and cleaning up all those wrecks. Just maybe increasing the amount of rewards you're making per hour. Then again, it might not be that efficient. It might be better to just keep destroying things and, I don't know, earning bounties and just leave the wrecks behind and just say whatever, because it's more efficient to just keep crushing out bounties than it is to stop and clear up the wrecks, right? It's another question, but once again, that's one that can't be answered anytime soon. But, you know, you have to ask yourself, am I always going to have the people around that I need to play a ship like this? And you have to be really honest with that question, because it's like any number of online games. You know, when you're all sitting down and you're planning stuff, you know, everyone's like, oh yeah, but then, you know, it's sort of like World of Warcraft. You say Friday night is raid night, 8 p.m. Half your raid shows up at 8 p.m. 3 or 4 more might trickle in by about 8:10, 8:15, and there's always 1 or 2 holdouts that aren't there till 8:45 or 8:30, and they, you know, and you gotta wait for them. You might be out in space and you might have everyone together on your ship, and then all of a sudden someone says, dude, I gotta go, sorry. And then you might lose a critical member of your crew and you might not have someone to replace that person with. You know, that's another harsh reality. And you know, when people are looking at stuff like this, you know, they always kind of look at the best possible scenario and they think that that's what it's going to be. But you have to ask these tough questions, especially when you're factoring in a ship that has to accommodate different people with different schedules and, you know, different lives. You don't know what's going to happen with that person. So with a ship like this, it's a lot more difficult than, say, just hopping into a fighter and going out and doing your own thing. You know, this ship requires more than just you. This ship requires a full crew, and I don't really know that that in the end, with a lot of these multi-crew ships, that they are really going to be that NPC friendly, possibly as turret gunners, but for actually operating your ship at efficiently and well, I think you're really going to need people. So you're really going to have to, you're going to have to be patient, and you're really going to have to be out there in the Star Citizen world, being social and trying to hook up with people, especially if you're going to be making this kind of an investment. It isn't just a question of spending the money, but you also got to be willing to spend, the time to develop the personal relationships that you're going to need to crew your ship. Now, we've dealt with some of the more brutally honest questions, about reality, and not just saying, oh, every day is going to be, is going to be a sunny day and it's never going to rain. But now let's look at the other side of it and some of the positive aspects that this ship could open up for you. Now, this ship could possibly give you access earlier on. Like if you own this ship and you don't have to earn your way to it, you might automatically be getting into missions that are possibly more lucrative with larger rewards. That's a possibility. It could be a serious engine to kind of push your own economic health in the Star Citizen universe forward. Then again, it may not, because then you have to kind of pay out a crew and you have to pay maintenance. But Chris Roberts did say it was going to be the more economical of the capital ships, but to what degree we don't know, and we likely won't know for a long time. But it could conceivably open up much more difficult and much more rewarding content earlier on for you if you're willing to fork out the dough or recycle the ships to get it. Also, if let's say you run an org, a ship like this in your org, like if you were looking to consolidate to a larger ship, this could be a good social tool to have within your org. Let's say you're a completely legitimate org and you just want to go out on patrols and shoot down Vanduul ships and do missions together. This could be an interesting social space. If you missed out on the Idris, if you missed out on the Javelin, this could be your vehicle to kind of, not just something to, as a piece of prestige to show for your org, but as something to say, hey, we got this thing, and we all hop into it Friday nights, and we all go out cruising together, and we have a lot of fun. Why don't you come with us? It could be, a very positive social tool, or just a social space for your org members to get together and to play with, or just, something for them to fly along with if they want to fly escort for it. Now, those are just some of the questions that I'm going to be asking. Of course, once we see the ship Sunday, and I have some time to think about it Monday, we'll start to hack away at it and see, is it something that kind of lives up to the hype, or does it look like it might have some issues? We'll have to wait and see. But those are some of the questions that I'm going to be asking. I mean, for me, it's going to be a question not so much of spending money as consolidating out of ships that I realistically don't want anymore, or ships that I don't really think that they're going to pan out. So that's going to be, some of my deciding factors when looking at a ship like this. And also, I think the spirit of this ship for me, what I'm seeing in my mind, what I'm thinking of when I look, when I think of this ship, I'm not looking at it yet because we haven't seen it, but what I'm thinking of is kind of like a privateering ship during the age of sail, back when the ocean was just this huge infinite space, and cruising around taking enemy merchant ships as prizes and evading their fleets, and having a ship and a crew. Obviously not something that I could take out every day, possibly only a couple of times a week, but something that I could get together with friends on and, cruise around in space with. That's the kind of ship and that's the kind of experience that I would be looking for. And if this ship appears to be that, and it still has a reasonable crew requirement, like not 20 or so, but something that's far below that, or reasonably far below that, then yeah, I might seriously look at it. But, for me, it's a little bit different because I'm just consolidating out of things that I don't really think I'm going to need. So everybody has their own questions to ask, I guess. And those are mine. Thanks for watching.
Quantum travel initiated.